College football is back, and so are the Qs. Welcome into sports. I'm Max Gifford. Following a 10-win first year under head coach Fran Brown, this is one of Syracuse's most anticipated seasons in ages. But could the Orange rise to the occasion in the Peach State of all places against number 24 Tennessee? Well, let's tell you about how it went down in Atlanta. You see it right there, Syracuse's new shiny centerpiece, Steve Angeli. But with SU already trailing 10-0 in the first quarter, they needed to engineer some offense, but instead Angeli is bulldozed to the ground and forgets the football in the process. A scoop and score for Colton Hood puts Tennessee up 17-0. SU would eventually get on the board late in the second. There's Yasin Willis taking it in for 6. He's putting up the heart, although I'm not sure Syracuse likes the scoreline right now. They do love production from freshmen like Jonte Cook, though. That makes it a 31-14 game at the half, and that started a little bit of a seesaw battle of a second half. There's Joey Aguilar throwing to Star Thomas. That added on to what is now a 24-point lead for Tennessee, and then Yasin Willis dives across the pile to keep SU within striking distance. But SU needed a miracle, needed a potential final blow, but Jalen McMurray says, I don't think so. Comes up with the sack, and then how about just playing for sport at this point? Joey Aguilar adds on some insurance to Miles Kitzelman, 45-26 the final. But even against the college football playoff contender from a year ago, Fran Brown knows there's only one column that counts at the end of the day.
You know, it's about wins and losses, but I am very thankful that the players went out and they fought and they stayed together. I think that's a part of us building the culture and building the program. So I'm extremely thankful that they were able to do that. But to tell you there's some moral victories or things of that nature, I think that's, for me, that would be like a loser's mentality. So I can't say that, but I'm very thankful that our players stuck together and they continue to fight until the last play.
Well, Fran, if you take away that first quarter, this game would have been 26-26. That slow start does mean no shower for Coach Brown this week, but hopefully the rest of those guys got washed despite not being on the winning side. SU does, after all, have one of the hardest schedules in the country, but it does get a smidge easier when Syracuse hosts UConn next Saturday. The Orange haven't been handed a loss by the Huskies since 2011. Kickoff for the home opener in the Dome is slated for noon. That wasn't the only college contest played on an NFL field, though. Tonight saw a top 10 tilt between last year's national runner-up, Notre Dame, down in Florida for a meetup with number 10 Miami, and OMG CJ Daniels. Spoiler alert, you'll see that one on SportsCenter tonight. Miami, fast forward all the way to the fourth quarter, afraid that Miami led by 14. All of a sudden, this game is tied. The QB keeper by CJ Carr has this game tied, but unfortunately, couldn't come up when it mattered most after a late-game field goal by the Canes. C.J. Carr sacked by Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain, adding the whipped cream and the cherry on top for the finish tonight. Miami gets a resume-boosting win at home, 27-24 over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But the fun didn't just stop on the football field, because it was a busy day for baseball as well. The Syracuse Mets finished up a 6-game series with the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. And remember, that's the AAA Subway Series, so you know it just means that much more. The Mets were 3 games out of a playoff spot coming into this contest, and they got plenty of prowess from their pitching staff. You see Jonathan Pintaro, Justin Garza with a strikeout. They had 4 pitchers in this game throw a pair of innings and finally got some run support, courtesy of lucky number 13 in the double column for Jared Young. And then how about Carlos Guzman putting the star on this finish? The Mets take it 3-0. But on the major league side of things, the New York Mets are holding on for dear life to that final wild card spot. They really needed a win down at Citi Field against the Miami Marlins, aiming to split the series, but Agustin Ramirez had other thoughts. He goes yard over left field. That's his 19th homer of the season, and then the Marlins just continued to pour things on. Kodai Senga, not quite his day. The Ghost Fork, not scaring anybody. That was a single off the bat of Heriberto Hernandez. That made it a 4-0 game. Miami would inflate its lead all the way up to 5-0 at one point. Mets would get 1 run, but ultimately it wouldn't be enough, and the Mets finished up a very inauspicious August with just 11 wins. But the Yankees, on the other end, had won 7 games in the last 7 days. They had a chance to sweep their series in the second city visiting the White Sox, and they call it the Windy City for a reason. And man, that ball's blowing out. But I guess it's not even blown out because it's Aaron Judge. He hits his 43rd homer of the season. And then Cody Bellinger also putting a barrel on the ball. Rips a double to give the Yankees the lead back, although the White Sox would eventually tie this game at 2. And then that set the stage for Lenyn Sosa, taking 1 yard over the center field fence to give Chicago a 3-2 win, cooling off the red-hot Yankees. That about puts a bow on sports for tonight, but when we come back, we'll have one last look at your wake-up weather.